Hey guys, for those of you who don't know me, I'm naturopathic Dr. Samia McCulley. And if you clicked on this link, it's because you want to know what kind of sunscreen I use. So before I show you, I'm going to preface this with, I hardly ever use sunscreen. Actually, I just recently got some new makeup, which I hardly ever wear since the pandemic. But that makeup only has sunscreen in it, and only because I liked this coverage better than the one that did not. And that has zinc oxide in it. And so when I have makeup on, I do have sunscreen on my face. I will tell you though, I rarely wear sunscreen. If you are a redhead and if you know you've had, if you've had if you've had skin cancer before, obviously protecting yourself may be a very good idea. And I'm not telling anyone not to use sunscreen, but what I will say is that you will burn less if you get consistent sun over a long period of time, and it's about the same time every day. You can build up from maybe 5 minutes or even 3 minutes a day. I have not been getting as much sun as I like lately because I've been working too much, but I like to get at least an hour of sun exposure every day. And here's an example. If I were to go to Hawaii, and this has happened many times, if I were to go to Hawaii in the winter, I haven't had sun on my body all, in maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And I go spend 5 or 6 hours in the sun in a bathing suit. I will get burned. Typically, maybe a little bit on my cheeks, on my shoulders, maybe on my legs a little bit. But if I get that same and I've slowly built up over time and getting sun every day, at least the hour that I like to get, I don't burn at all. And there is evidence to show that people who get more sun exposure actually have less cancer. And they think that people who are inside more, potentially from fluorescent lights in buildings, that those are the people who get, what's it called? The worst kind of skin cancer. It's at the tip of my tongue. And my mother's brother died of that over 20 years ago. When he was a sailor and he got a ton of sun, so I'm not sure what that was about. But my point is, we do need the sun. Without the sun, there's no life on Earth. Without the sun, even babies. So, babies go under certain kind of light when they're born now if they have any jaundice. Babies never used to get jaundice when they weren't born in a hospital or indoors because the sun naturally breaks down the bilirubin that causes jaundice. So I have a grandparent on both my mother's parents had a sibling that died at a few days old of jaundice. Why? Because I think they were probably born in their houses in the early 1900s. And I knew my older son actually was born at home as well. And I knew that when he started to get a little yellow that he needed some sun. So we just brought him outside and gave him a little sun every day. And then the jaundice went away fairly quickly. And when a baby's born in the hospital now, they know the kind of rays that you need in order to get rid of the bilirubin. And so if those babies in the hospital were just outside, they wouldn't need those rays. So that's just one tiny example, but we need we need the sun for so many reasons. And I was just about to say because of vitamin D, which I'm sure you all know. And one thing I think is really important to know is that you do not make vitamin D when you're wearing sunscreen. So if you can, you need to get some sun every day that's not sun protected, where your skin is not sunscreen protected. And I will give you another thing to think about. I test people's vitamin D all the time, and most people's vitamin D is extremely low unless they're taking it. And my optimal for vitamin D is 75 to 85. And so I did an experiment one time. I went to Hawaii. I was in a bikini, probably 4 or 5 hours a day on the beach for a week. I came home, my vitamin D was 65. And that was with no other vitamin D. I wasn't taking any vitamin D. So that was from the sun. So if you think about an indigenous person who maybe is outside most of the time, they probably have a pretty healthy amount of vitamin D. Probably was higher than mine, probably would be higher than mine. And most people, even kids who I check, their vitamin D is like 35, 25, maybe 40 if they're lucky. And then the only way that it really gets much higher than that is if they're taking vitamin D. So we don't just get vitamin D from the sun. We get all kinds of other things. In fact, there's a podcast by, his name is Ari Whitten. He wrote a book on red light. He still hasn't published this book on sunlight, but in the podcast, he talks about how our skin has photon receptors in it, and not getting sunlight every day is like not eating. So it's when we don't get sun, we're starving our body of many things. We get people who have more sun are thinner, they have better insulin regulation, they have less cancer, they have more energy, they have better mood, they have less depression, less anxiety, all kinds of things. So here you go. I won't make you wait any longer. This is the sunscreen that I use when I use sunscreen, which, as you now know, is not very often. This is a company I found at a conference that I was at probably 5 years ago. And then I met the owner multiple times at different conferences. This stuff just has zinc oxide in it. And I feel very comfortable. I'll stick it in my kid's backpack if I think there's any threat of someone else trying to put sunscreen on them at camp, which actually happened the other day. Anyway, this you can get, I think you can get it on Amazon, you can get it online, and I would show you the back, but mine is a little bit, we really don't use it that often. So in fact, I may need to get more now. So this company also makes, and I have this in my bathroom, it's a petroleum jelly, only it's made of glycerin. So it has it's like Vaseline. It's very sticky and it's actually sweet. You can taste it. But you can use that on your lips or your face as Vaseline instead of a petroleum product, like Aquaphor or Vaseline. Anyway, so Google this company, and this is what I would choose. I will say, I have one other if you wanted to go to the store and get it. This is Alba Botanica. The active ingredients here are zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. The only thing about some of these other sunscreens, this one I know is not nanoparticle. Nanoparticles are so small, they go right through your skin. And that's one of the issues with all the toxic ingredients that are in sunscreens. They go right through your skin. And so we absorb them and they cause hormone disruption and other issues. When something is nanoparticle, which I think this one is, they go right through. This is just a topical blocker. And so the safest one. Anyway, do you have any questions? Let me know. I'll see you next time.